Hello, and welcome back to the TGP Wrestling Podcast and part 2 of me and Kyle's predictions. Now, part 1 was very long, and we're going to try and condense this down a bit more because part 1 was way longer than the half an hour we anticipated. So, Kyle.
Wait, it was only supposed to go half an hour?
Yeah, I literally bookmarked half an hour each and the whole thing be an hour together.
Oh.
And
Sounds...
no, it's fine, but that always happens when me and Kyle record, is that stuff goes longer than we thought. Me and Kyle have been on the phone to each other for 3 hours before for no apparent reason. Could not tell you to this day what we talked about.
It's just that's what friends do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Anyway,
Don't say yeah like that as if we ain't friends.
We are friends. We're related, but we are friends.
Yeah, that's what friends do, I guess.
Oh,
but are we friends?
Don't fuck with this guy that much, but we'll just chill.
In fact, I kind of hate this guy, but probably shouldn't say that on the pod.
Yeah, I need to pretend to have viewers that what are we on about? Just start recording the podcast, man.
I'm letting you. Go on.
Okay, I'm going to do this one I'm going to do this one differently. I think we do our 1 to 30 each rather than going 1 to 1 to 2 to 2 because I think that takes longer.
Oh, okay. So you're going to put me on the spot when I'm not 100% sure.
I'm going to do mine first. All right.
Yeah, you go for it.
I've got Becky Lynch and Charlotte starting it off. I know that I kind of put the 2 surprise returns in straight away, but I have a bigger surprise return later on. So Becky, Charlotte, 1 and 2, and they will both be in the final 4. He fucks with that. I can see it.
Yeah, sure. If you want to think that, that's fine.
Why? What's wrong? What, you don't like it?
What's wrong?
What's wrong? What's the issue?
There's nothing wrong with it. I don't know what kind of crazy...
Don't care about women's wrestling.
No, don't say that. Don't put words in my mouth that I don't know. Sorry, don't mean.
You don't know. You're unsure how you feel. No, he does like women's wrestling. I'm just.
No, I just had a different idea, I guess, for a start. But that's when it comes to me, I guess.
Okay, I've got Bailey 3, Io Sky 4, which makes a lot of sense in itself for obvious reasons. They were friends. They're now not. Are they friends again? I don't know. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're still friends. I don't know. Number 5, I've got the US champ. I've got Chelsea Green, who is going to do kind of similar to what you're on about with Finn Balor in the men's one, where she's dominant with her chilling outside. Like, yeah, I don't want to go in there. Not feeling it. Number 6 is Jordan Grace to basically get her in the ring and then fuck shit up and actually go ham on the whole of the women's roster. Number 7, I've got Asuka. Again, I've just got 7 like quite established stars in a row to start this off. So naturally, it's probably only going to be downhill, but it doesn't get that downhill. I actually think that all 30 of these could be stars in their own right. 8, I've got Roxanne Perez. 9, I've got Maxine Dupree. Go business. Number 10, I've got Lita. Yes.
You're really, really excited about that, aren't you?
Yeah. And then number 11, I've got Trish. Trish and Lita back to back.
Nice. Can Trish and Lita still go?
Yeah. Why not? You don't have to even be able to go that much.
I mean, I've got Ric Flair in mind, so.
Yeah, I mean, Ric Flair's 700 years old.
Yeah, he can't go anymore.
Pill stealing, hip breaking. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there. Number 12, Carl definitely laughed, by the way. He was just on mute.
I did laugh, actually, genuinely.
Number 12, I've got Nia Jax, who just recently lost the women's title. We're all really sad about that because we all love Nia Jax.
You're coming out with bangers today, aren't you?
Oh, delirious. Number 30, it's all on Percy Pigs, all the sugar.
Percy Percy Pigs. Oh,
We're not sponsored. I would love it. That's my dream sponsor is Percy Pigs.
you have not stopped talking about how much you love these Percy Pigs, do you?
Yeah, M&S. You need to like DM us. Right, we'll get on this partnership. Number 13, Dakota Kai. Number 14, I'm saying her name is Julia, but I've heard the Americans say it differently, but they say everything differently. They say aluminum, so what do they know? I've got Julia, who's the NXT Women's Champion, and the NXT Women's Champion has been in the Women's Rumble quite a lot. So I'm assuming that the NXT Women's Champion will be in it. So that's where I've gone. 15, I've got Liv Morgan. Again, just lost the women's title. So very, very interesting. Two former women's champs not far off each other. Number 16, I've got Raquel, who is obviously mates with Liv Morgan, so that's helps Liv stay in the Rumble for longer. And Liv will be right there till the end. 17, I've got Zoe Stark. 18, I've got Shayna Baszler. Again, kind of the same theme. They're friends and all that, so that's all good. It's all cheeky. 19, I've got Mi Shin. 20, I've got Candice LeRae. 21, I've got Shotzi. I'm reading through these because Kyle is not coming back to me on any of them, so I'm just assuming.
I mean, what do you want me to say about some of them?
I don't know.
Shotzi, let's go.
22, Sonya Deville. 23, Ivy Nile. And then 24, 25, I've got Jade and Bianca. Now, me and Carl talked before recording that Jade may not be okay, and she might still be injured for Rumble, but I put her in anyway because she's goated.
She is goated, too far.
26, Lyra Valkyria. 27, Piper Niven. 28, Nikita Lyons. Shout out to Chris, biggest Nikita Lyons fan on planet Earth.
Is he?
He genuinely is. He talks about it all the time.
He loves like the strangest of superstars.
I'm assuming he really likes her style of wrestling. That's my assumption.
I mean, he's like the biggest Austin Theory fan in the world, so I never know with him.
Yeah,
he's an enigma.
Yeah, that's one word for him.
It is one word for him.
Another word's for him, a menace to society.
So right.
29, I've got Alexa Bliss. Ooh, everyone's dead excited because Alexa Bliss is back at 29. But then everyone's sat there like, well, if Alexa Bliss is 29, who's 30? Do you know what I mean? But I did 31 in the men's, so I can only do 29 in the women's. JK's. Don't worry, it's not. Doesn't have to add up to 60.
Inequality in all things.
No, 30, I've got AJ Lee.
Wow.
And I think the reason for this being, and I can go into this a bit more now, I've got all 30, right? So, AJ Lee, CM Punk's been asked about her, and he's basically just said, like, look, it's up to her. Like, the path is there. WWE have asked her the question. It is just up to her whether she wants to wrestle. Like, she's been away for so long now, hasn't she? Where it's like, does she even want to do it anymore? And all that. She's still really young. It's not like she's like at an age where she definitely wouldn't be able to go anymore. Like, she's what, 36, 37?
Yeah, the question isn't like, can she still? It's more just, has she already moved on? And like, does she not care anymore?
That is the thing. It's whether she wants to, because the thing is with wrestling as well, I think people get lost on this when people are like, oh, I want people to return and all that. You have to be in such ridiculous shape to be a wrestler. And then you have to be in ring shape. And those two things are really different. Like, The Rock said that obviously everybody knows The Rock's in ridiculous shape, and he's never not really been in shape, has he? For like his films and all that sort of stuff. But even he said before he returned to WWE, he had to do separate training and be separately whatever. So AJ Lee trains and stuff, but is she trained? She's not training for wrestling, is she? She's not strength training for wrestling. She's not like hitting the ropes and stuff. It's very different. And getting back into wrestling, it's a massive decision. It'll take like 6 months to a year out of your life just to train to get back in the ring. And then she has to decide if she comes out number 30 at the Rumble and wins it, is that what she wants after 10 years? Do you know? Because there is, I don't know how you feel about this, but does it not maybe feel like if she comes back after 10 years, 10 and a bit years, like, and then wins the Rumble, is that good for the business? Is that, do you know what I mean? It's like,
I mean, that was CM Punk's like major gripe back in the day, is that all these like old ass part timers are taking all the big Mania spots, and that would literally be the case if AJ Lee just came back, took the Mania main event after God knows how many years being away.
yeah. So I don't have her winning the Rumble. I just, I have my final four being Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Jordan Grace, and AJ Lee, which would mean that Alexa Bliss comes in to get eliminated. But I would have Alexa Bliss get eliminated by a very established star, like one of the ones I've just mentioned, rather than just being eliminated by, I don't know, Piper Niven. No offense to Piper Niven, but she's not like the established star that the others are. So yeah, final four is Becky, Charlotte, Jordan, and AJ Lee, and I'd have Charlotte win it. I think that it's a difficult one because I don't think you're having somebody win the Rumble based on should they win the Rumble. You're having them win the Rumble based on what match makes the most sense at Mania. And for me, in a very selfish way, I just want to see Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair at Mania. I just think it'd be a really good match. I think their styles will complement each other really well. I did put my original Mania plan was different because I had Nia Jax still holding the belt, but now it's Tiffany. My whole thing's changed because I was going to have potentially Alexa Bliss win the Rumble at 30, and then I've kind of changed my mind because Tiff's the title holder. So yeah, Charlotte Tiffany at Mania after Charlotte winning the Rumble. I think it's going to be banging, and also it brings Charlotte and Becky back in. I know people will be like, "Oh, Charlotte's been out for ages, and she wins the Rumble." That's not fair to all the other people. That is kind of just what wrestling is, though, isn't it? Like, it's kind of the way it is, in a way.
Yeah, and especially when it's Charlotte Flair, like she kind of is one of the women's goats. She can kind of come and do that, and it's not that weird. She
It's
always
like,
kind of comes and goes.
yeah, it's like I've got The Rock winning the men's one. I said on the men's episode, it could easily be The Rock, Roman, or Solo for the match that I've planned for Mania. So it doesn't really matter if it's The Rock or it's Solo. If you feel better about giving it to Solo, give it to Solo. But the same with the women's, with Charlotte, if you feel better giving it to AJ Lee or you feel better giving it to Alexa Bliss, then fine. And it would just be one of them against Tiffany at Mania. Or you could do Charlotte versus Rhea again, but because it's already been done, I wouldn't do it again. And the rumor is that Charlotte is going to be on SmackDown when she returns. So again, it makes more sense for it to be Tiff. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's weird with Rumble, but when you're saying the Solo Reigns Rock, where you know that one of them should kind of win the Rumble for the story, one of them should be the champion going into Mania. It's hard to decide sometimes who would be best going into the Mania with the championship already. Like who has that aura for that match to work the best, and who should be the like plucky underdog / like Rumble winner to make that story work the best. And I feel like Charlotte is kind of one of those where I feel like she should always go in as a champion rather than as a Rumble winner. I think it's hard for her to get the crowd behind her in that way.
yeah, I mean, because the Rumble winner traditionally should be someone, because it's not always a face, obviously, but like traditionally the Rumble winner is the underdog trying to take down the big champion. Going into this year of Mania, it's not going to have that feel because you've got the women's one. I would imagine that the women's one will be SmackDown, and if it's SmackDown, Tiffany Stratton's quite an underdog champion as is with the way that she won the belt. So if it's Nia Jax champion going into Mania, which I hope it isn't, but if it is, it kind of works a little bit better. If it's Tiff, then really anyone that wins the Rumble might go in as favourite.
Yeah, especially if it's Charlotte going in. I feel like you would almost assume Charlotte's going to beat her.
But then if she does win, as in Tiff wins and beats Charlotte clean, you're just establishing a new star then, aren't you? As well.
Yeah. It's a weird way of doing the Rumble because it's almost like you're using the Rumble magic to actually benefit the non-Rumble winner, which is a weird way of doing it, but it still works, I think.
Yeah, so I think that's the way I'm sort of looking at it, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with that. But I'm going to go like this, Kyle. What is your women's rumble?
I can sense the fear in his voice
There
when he
is
asked that question.
genuine fear in this, yeah.
I'm not going to go like person by person because like with you, I didn't really know what to say about a lot of these people. It's kind of like when we put like Carmelo Hayes in, it's like, yeah, they're good. They'd be a good addition. They deserve to be in the Rumble match, but there's not anything that notable to say about it. So I'm going to give you my big ones of I want the first 4 people. So I want it to start with Chelsea Green and Dakota Sakai / Valkyrie. Whoever wins the IC. It is the IC, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it'd be quite cute for the 2 winners of like the mid card belts be able to enter the ring with their belt before the match, just to show the belts off, basically, and just to have like this is a big moment. In the same way that Reigns and Cena was mine for men's. And then I want the runners up of both tournaments to be 3 and 4. So it really is like this is the echelon of the mid card women's. And then you have your Baileys, your Naomis, your people who you can't have win the Rumble, but it's important to have them in the match. Blah blah blah. You go through it, and then for my last like bunch, because I mean you throw some legends like you say Lita and Trish. I can't really think of a lot of legends. Like you throw in Nikki Bella because John Cena's there. I don't know if she can still wrestle. Who knows? So 26. I'm thinking Liv Morgan. 27, Nia Jax. So now you've got these like 2 people who've just lost their belts. So these are realistic people who you can expect they have a good chance of winning.
Yeah.
They've already got storylines kind of involved. These have got a good shot. But then you break that with Belair, who I think is still I still see Bianca Belair as like the main girl in the women's division a lot of the time. Maybe it's just a bias. I love her. I think she's great.
She probably is still the biggest babyface in the women's division.
But she probably shouldn't win this Rumble because Jade returns, and that's when they finally do this like double turn. And like, finally, we've been expecting it for ages. Now we're gonna have Belair versus Cargill at Mania. So that's the setup for that. And you think, oh well, if that's the setup, who's gonna win the women's Royal Rumble? And crazy enough, for me, Charlotte, number 30, she comes in and wins the Rumble because it's Charlotte. I think when someone comes in at 30 and wins, it's a heel move, no matter how I see it. Because it's just not very respectable. It's like you've been gifted it. It's not fair. But Charlotte's whole character is that she gets gifted stuff because she's had flair, you know what I mean?
And she just watched her dad die in the Rumble like a couple of hours before.
She just had to watch Kofi Kingston do the nay on Ric Flair. So she deserves the win. But yeah, that's basically it. I think Charlotte Flair should probably win. If she does come back, which I think we're all accepting that she will come back. Any comments? Any interest?
Any interest?
Any interest? I'm getting some investment for my bet for Charlotte Flair number 30.
Bro's just like, is he listening? Does he even care? Like, does he even bother what I'm saying?
Well, it's a difficult one, isn't it? It's like it's not as exciting as the women's Rumble isn't as exciting as the men's this year because I think there's no obvious person to win. There are lots of people that I want to win, but I don't think there's anyone that's like obvious they should win. And I think
think
it's just because we've had this championship change like so suddenly now.
you're not also used, and this is like the biggest compliment I can pay, really. You're not also used to the women's rumble being better than the men's, because it often has been. Like for quality of rumble, the women's rumble has been better than the men's in recent years.
Yeah. I think genuinely one of my big things I was thinking about while I was silent listening to you just rattle off all these names was all of these women's wrestlers, 100% are more interesting if they won the Rumble than most of the filler of the men's. It's just that the peaks are not as peak. You know what I mean? Because like all of my favorite wrestlers that could get belts in the women's division have already got belts in the women's division or have just lost belts in the women's division. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the women's division's in a really good spot at the minute, though, in a way, because it's just really really open.
It
Like
feels very consistently positive. There's very few. There's very few wrestlers in the women's division that I think, oh, I would hate for them to win the Royal Rumble.
and I think I felt the same. Though I'm reading off these names, thinking like I'm just reading off like main event, potential main eventer after potential main eventer over and over, and like that in itself is a great testament to where the women's division is. And like, I'm looking at the men's, and I've left people out that I know are going to be in the Rumble, and the reason I've left them out is because I just don't want them to be.
Yeah,
And I often
we
feel
left
like
a good few people out of the Rumble because like they just either weren't interested enough or we just didn't want them to win the Rumble. That would just be terrible.
I don't. I see. I don't understand why WWE don't go all in on the men's Rumble every year and treat it like Mania, because it feels like some years they go, and people might say to me, "Oh, they go all in on the women's because there aren't, in previous years there hasn't been the women's roster that there has the men's. It's been a much smaller roster, so they've had to sort of fill it with main eventers and legends." But I actually think that WWE hit on the right formula with that. Do you know what I mean? Like putting people in there that can win it. Imagine the Rumble if there was 30 people in it that could win it.
I think the coolest thing that they do in the women's Rumble is because, like in previous years, people say they don't have the depth of like the main event or the main roster women's division. There are so many like NXT talent a lot of the time that it's actually a really nice way of not only it being a surprise, but then people who don't watch NXT like me, I'm interested like who is this girl and what is she gonna do that's gonna like wow me? Like what is her character? What should I be invested in? And they do such a good job at like building that instantly off the bat. So that when they eventually do come up, like your Chelsea Greens and stuff, you know who they are already, and you can like you're already ready to start being invested in that character.
Yeah, like obviously when Tiffany Stratton came up as well. The guys in the chat know that I'm the biggest Tiffany Stratton mark there is. I just think she's brilliant. Like I think she's so unbelievably talented, and it's nice to see that she's won the world title now. But I just think that my issue with the men's rumble for the last sort of 5 or 10 years has been that you probably do this, and I mean this year with Netflix, we're probably all going to do this. Like I watch past rumbles to get hyped for the current rumble. That's what I do. That's what most people probably do. With the men's rumbles, I've got to go back a really long time to watch previous rumbles and get hyped because there's been so many that have just been like almost filler rumbles. Like, do you remember the one where Randy Orton won the rumble and it was just like
honestly, I feel like most rumbles, like men's rumbles we've had for the past like 5 years, have been for like absolute filler.
Like
and that's not just me being a Cody Rhodes hater. I just don't think it needed it.
Look, I love Cody Rhodes. That's no secret. 2022, I think Cody Rhodes should have won the Rumble. I think that was the right call. And when he went on to lose to Roman at Mania, that was the decision that it was. Like I was very vocal about that decision that I wouldn't have had him. I would have had Cody go over, but it did make more sense with Roman's long-term storytelling in the end. So when 2023 came around, we all picked our winner for the Rumble. None of us picked Cody. Because it was like, well, Cody's not going to win it 2 years in a row. And also, he probably doesn't need to win the Rumble to have a match with Roman. Then he wins the Rumble. WWE sign off on Rock Roman because that's the match they want. Cody has to try and build a feud with the World Heavyweight Champion, but then they decide to completely 180 it. And then what they did was an absolute masterpiece, and it was one of the best WrestleMania main events, if not the best WrestleMania main event of all time. So you've kind of got two different ways with that, haven't you? And that's where it is with the Rumble. It's kind of like we're picking out the best way to do it, and maybe there isn't a best way. But that's the problem, isn't it? When we're doing these predictions, we're trying to pick out stuff that might happen and might not.
Yeah.
And there's not always a really, really obvious answer, is there?
Yeah, I think my Rumble philosophy has always been you should pick the guy or girl who will have the most hype to be propelled into the main event scene, or who will provide the most hype main event at Mania. Hence why I really wanted Roman Rock at Mania last year, because I thought it was just the most hype main event. And the Cody match was great. I won't take that away from it, but I think this year they really need to cement the people who win will have that boost or provide the biggest main event they possibly can. I think it's really important this year because Cody won twice, and it's like, did he really need to win twice in a row? And the women's wins haven't been that hype, in my opinion. They've been great Rumbles, but maybe not great results.
I think Jade should have won it last year.
Yeah.
I know that was kind of the predictable, like, oh, well, Jade's going to win it sort of thing, but she should have won it. They built her as this massive star. They had her in the Royal Rumble as like one of the final three. I would have just pulled the trigger and had her win it.
Yeah. And that's why I think Charlotte is a safe bet for women's in terms of, I think no matter what match Charlotte has, I think she will always be, there's a certain aura with Charlotte where you can be very confident that it'll be a good main event. And Cena, I mean, bro, it's just, who's going to tell me Cena is not main event in WrestleMania this year?
So this is the thing. I had him main event in my storyline. I had him main event in night one with Gunther. And losing, by the way.
Damn, that would be crazy. I mean, it'd be so sick. I'd love it, but
it's the chase for me. Do you know what I mean? It's the chase that I like. I don't want him to win the world title in April.
Yeah, I feel like Gunther also is he's one of those characters where he could beat Cena and it wouldn't be like a heelish thing. Like people would be like disappointed that Cena's not won, but it'd also be like, well, Gunther's an absolute boss man, so fair enough.
And it just makes Gunther an absolute superstar, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
And
it's weird that Gunther has so little screen time, but he's got so much aura that everyone just respects him.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's the thing. I'm excited for Rumble. I'm excited for Mania. I just think that the women's one is hard because I think it probably will be Charlotte and should be Charlotte. But then I think with the women's one, there's like 5 or 6 people that if they win it, I'd be really happy. Like if Jade goes and wins it this year, I'll be really happy.
Yeah, that was going to be my second. It was either you go Jade wins it or Jade turns on Belair so that you have that match instead.
You could have Jade and Belair, or you could have Jade and Rhea.
Yeah. Jade versus Rhea would be great.
They both have the potential to be the best women's match of all time. Hands down for me. So
yeah, I think the more I think about it, the more I think Rhea and Jade is such a, on paper, that is such an insanely good main event. Because it's also just a style of like matchup that we don't see a lot in the women's division. Like we don't normally have big woman versus big woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're both intimidating. They're both imposing. They're both like treated that way in WWE. I just think it would be really, really good. And to be honest with Rhea as well, Rhea is never going to not be popular, right? She's always going to be popular.
Mm.
But I think coming out of the Liv feud now, she really needs to hit the ground running with whatever next feud she does. I don't think she carries on feuding with Liv. She might have a Rumble match against Liv, potentially.
I hope it's over. It's gone on for so long.
But it's gone on for that long. And it was great when it started. And it's not bad now. It needs to end now.
It's kind of how I feel about Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes. It's like, it's not bad. It's not gotten terrible or something. It's just, I'm bored of it. I've already seen it now. I don't need to keep seeing it.
I think with Gunther and Cody Rhodes, I think the with Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes, I think the problem is that Kevin Owens is just a nearly man, isn't he? He's the guy that they put in the feud with the main star that doesn't win. With the Roman feud, his feud with Roman was really good, but no one thought he'd win. It was never on the cards that he'd win that feud, was it? Not a single person thought he'd win.
Yeah, that's just always been Kevin Owens' issue, isn't it? It's like every feud he does, he puts like 120% into it. But you also, because you know, like nearly for sure, he's never winning that feud. It just doesn't really matter at the end, no matter how hard he works.
And he's never been the issue. And this one thing I want to make very clear about my stance on Kevin Owens is he's never been the issue in this.
I think Seth has that same issue a lot of the time, where going into a feud, either Seth is 100% winning this or is 100% losing this, and there's no wiggle room.
It's like his feud with Logan, and they had the match at Mania. It's like, well, Seth is obviously going to win this match.
Yeah.
And he should win this match. But I still kind of cared about it. Like, Kevin Owens has this ability in the same way that Seth does, that every match they have, I care about. Right? I care about their matches. Yeah. I care about Cody versus Kevin Owens at Rumble, even though Cody's going to win. But I think that actually what needs to happen with Cody, while we're talking about him, is that he's got to turn heel. Like, I don't see at this point how he carries on this title reign and remains a face. I know he's the biggest baby face in the company. I know he earns the most money, but isn't this the perfect time to turn him heel with John Cena joining the company again? You've got that big baby face.
When he was joking around with The Rock, I know that the whole of Raw was a fever dream, but that moment specifically when like Cody goes like he like laughs as he's in the crowd, he's like like batting on the fucking side. I was like, this is the weirdest thing in the world. It feels like it's a joke. Like it feels like it's ironic that they're doing it.
But it's also like The Rock is literally talking about your mum. Yeah. Quite personally, and you're just going, Rock, you fucking rascal.
Yeah, like, it's so weird.
It's like you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't react like that. If someone was talking about your mum, you'd get angry, wouldn't you? You'd get in the ring and you'd throw down.
Unless you were like actual good friends, which, spoiler for those that haven't been watching the past year and a half, The Rock and Cody Rhodes aren't best buddies.
Our reaction on call was really funny. And I don't get me wrong, there's a lot of our call that I wouldn't want to be online. But there are parts of our calls where I'm like, I really wish that was recorded, because the reaction from all of us was basically like, what the fuck are you doing? When you coming at it pretending like you didn't like smear Cody's blood all over him last fucking year? Like, we remember that, that's not like that actually happened.
They've not got the back catalogue anymore. It's on Netflix.
I literally feel like WWE have gone, oh yeah, last year when The Rock was being an absolute fucking menace week in, week on Raw, putting Cody's blood all over his own boss, telling his mum he's going to die and all this sort of stuff. All of that's just like, it was just
pulling your leg. You know what I mean?
It was just banter, Cody, wasn't it? I was just pulling your leg, mate. Like, we're good, aren't we? Yeah, we're good, Rock.
It genuinely is as if next week Rhea and Liv are just like sat eating like some food together, and they're like, you remember when you stole my boyfriend? You rascal, you.
Oh, what am I gonna do with you?
What am I gonna do with you? You silly sausage.
It's just so weird. Like,
yeah.
I know the difficulty with Rock at the minute. I know this is about the women's rumble, and we're going off on a tangent, but the difficulty with the Rock at the minute is that everybody knows that he's a CEO at TKO. Everybody knows that he's on the board of directors. Like, that's not a secret. So when he's being this like dastardly heel, although I stand by this, the final boss is the best work of The Rock's career. It has the most substance, and it is better than he. This work he's doing now, before this, ridiculousness on Raw. This is the best work of his career, and I will stand by that. The final boss Rock is my favorite version of Rock. And you know me, I'm a massive Rock fan, and I have been since I was a kid. But like, this is genuinely the best version of him. I just don't want them to fuck it up.
So what you're telling me is in this podcast episode about the Women's Rumble is The Rock is going to win the Women's Rumble.
Yes. He was number 31 in the men's for me. He'll be number 31 in the women's.
So obviously I don't watch NXT, but you know how he was on NXT? He was bigging up one woman in particular. I'm pretty sure she was NXT champ. But I don't know. I'm not well cultured in the NXT lore.
He was, yeah.
But I would like to see her as like one of the last four in the Women's Rumble.
She's a massive star. She's a star before she joined WWE.
Yeah, I could tell just from the like couple minutes of her being on screen of like I say the highlights. I wasn't even watching the highlights. I was just skimming through. I could tell that she had some aura. She was a little goofy, like as a character, like not as a character, but as just a human being, I guess. But she had boss man aura. And I respected it.
I mean, I'd watch their match at New Year's Eve because it was genuinely one of the best women's matches I've seen in years. Like, it was a really good match, and she was. I think this is the reason WWE are going to put like hype her up so much. She's 30, so she has so much time. Like, and she was in New Japan before, but now she's got so much time, and she's just so unbelievably talented that they're kind of looking at her thinking she is going to be the future women's champion. Like, she's going to be the top face or heel because she's done both in the company. Yeah. And The Rock is definitely saying like she's got my vote purely because he probably believes it himself. And if she was in the Rumble and she was in the Final Four, I think that'd be great for her, and I think it would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think that's just my not issue, but I think that's something I'd like to see this year a lot more. Is I think they need to bring a lot of these NXT women up to the main roster because they are just oozing like talent and aura. I think they've lost momentum in a lot of these people that are on the main roster right now.
I think the women's roster objectively could be more interesting than the men's. Which I know sounds like a crazy take, but it
as a whole company-wide thing, I think that's not even that crazy of a take.
That's kind of how I feel at the minute, and that's why when it comes to Rumble and stuff, I'm more excited for the women's one most of the time because I know that we're going to get a really good Rumble. You correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there's been a bad women's Rumble. I think they've all been really good.
The women's Rumble is always consistently good, whilst the men is like, it is a roller coaster. It could be so terrible, or it could be like, you are mesmerized for an hour.
I don't remember the last Raw. I mean, the one where they had like Goldberg and Undertaker and Brock Lesnar, even that one felt really flat because of the way that they booked it. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, even when you get the right people in it, it doesn't work. And that's kind of the issue I've got at the minute with the men's Rumble. It's like, it's so inconsistent. And I think the women it has so many different avenues it could go down. There's 6 or 7 people that could win it, and you'd be like, yeah, I get that. Whereas the men's, like, there's probably 3 or 4, and even then, 3 of them are in the same storyline. I think if with the men's Rumble, it has to be Cena, Punk, Roman, Solo, or The Rock, and I don't think it could be anybody else.
Yeah.
Whereas the women's, it could I said 5 or 6 women. It could probably be up to 10, and it still make perfect sense.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest difference between Rumbles this year, and it's the men's is gonna just be which story do they want to decide on, like because we know what is most likely the stories they're going to be going for Mania. It's just which one are they going to decide for the men's? But with the women's, it's I have no idea which story are they going to start with this Rumble. I don't know who's going to win. I just know that it's going to be extremely hard to predict unless it's Charlotte coming back.
I think Charlotte coming back is what people have gone towards. Then gone, oh yeah, it will be Charlotte. She'll come back and she'll win it. It really might not be. And this is kind of where I want to sort of point out to people that are saying, oh, it's really, really obvious. I'm not sure it is. I think it'll be Charlotte, but that is just a prediction. I've got no idea. Whereas the men's, it will be one of those 5 I mentioned, and there's no way it's not. I think with the men's as well, I think, to be honest, if I was giving you an actual prediction of what's going to happen, Cena wins the men's Rumble and Charlotte wins the women's. But I'm not confident in that decision for the women's. Like, if you look at, like, I know betting odds are the worst thing to look at for Rumbles, and they are. Then betting odds in general are pretty awful for wrestling. But if you looked at betting odds, Charlotte, Io Sky, Becky, Jade, Bianca are all fairly similar for odds. And then you've got slight outsiders like Alexa Bliss, Nia Jax. And that's what I'm sort of saying, that there are so many people that could win it. And then you've got like Julia, Jordan Grace that are in there that, again, if Jordan Grace came and won the Rumble, would you mind? I wouldn't be. I'd be really happy with that.
Yeah, it's just so unpredictable. But I mean, that's why I'm weirdly, I almost feel like I'm more excited for the women's Rumble than I am the men's, just because I don't know what to expect.
There's just more ways it can go as well. Like,
Yeah,
the men's at the minute, if you're listening to, like, again, the bookies, they think it's John Cena, and that's pretty much it. Everyone else is a bit more of an outsider. They think it's John Cena.
yeah. To me, it does seem it's like either it's Cena or it's Punk, and those are the only two in my head.
The second favorite with the men's is actually Seth Rollins.
I'd love for it to be Seth Rollins. I've been trying not to go on a tangent, so I'm not going to go on a tangent now. But maybe one day I'll be allowed to go on a tangent about how much I love Seth Rollins again.
We'll just do a Seth Rollins appreciation episode.
Just like my Wesley appreciation episode.
How much do you love Wesley?
Fucking a lot. He should win the Rumble, actually. Fuck all the rest. The women's one, though.
He has got long hair.
Okay. You goofy ass boy.
Wesley just comes out and wins the Rumble.
Well, like James Ellsworth got the first Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Crazy. I'm still absolutely baffled by thinking that was a cool thing to do.
It's funny that you mentioned James Ellsworth. He had the opportunity to come on this podcast, but wanted 60 quid.
I don't even know if you're doing a bit or not.
No. That is completely genuine.
So if we paid 60 quid, we'd get James Ellsworth on.
Yep.
Well, next episode, if someone gives me 60 quid, I'll make sure he gets it.
Yeah. If James Ellsworth's on the next episode, then you know that
you know exactly how much we paid for it.
We know that we parted with our money.
Okay. Before we talk about James Ellsworth anymore. Okay, here's a better one. So, in every Rumble, there's the big one. There's the big person, not necessarily actually physically big, but the person who eliminates a fuck ton of people and has like the best showing out of everyone. Who do you think it's going to be for the women's? Because it's not going to be Rhea this time, is it? I doubt it's going to be Cargill, because I feel like if Cargill's going to be in it, she's going to be in at the end and win.
Yeah, I think it'd be Nia Jax. I think she'll come in at like 8 or 9 and just eliminate loads of people.
I mean, it would be good for her to regain that momentum.
That's kind of where my head's at with it.
Let me give you a real curveball.
Okay.
Nikki Cross.
Okay. Because of the new sort of gimmick and...
Yeah. It's going to be her first opportunity to actually like show up on a pay-per-view with this new gimmick.
It's mad because
they might make it work.
I didn't even put her in the match.
I had a. Where did I have her? I had her at 18.
Yeah, I did not even have her in the match.
Unbelievable.
Big fat soz to you all. Right, anyway, that is all we've got time for. Again, this was meant to be half an hour. This has veered further over the half an hour threshold.
Well, it's about the same as the men's. So, are you saying that women don't deserve as much time?
Oh my god, what the fuck?
I can see the sweat just starting to pull. Is that what
No,
you're saying, Adam?
no, that is not what I'm saying. What
Okay.
I'm saying is they both deserve to be half an hour long, and both of them have been longer.
Well, I think I'm just trying to make things better. Sorry if
Yeah.
you're in the way of that.
Stay tuned for NFL draft season and the NFL draft.
What the fuck are you on about?
Oh dear.
All right, we're wrapping this up. I don't know what he's on
No,
about.
no,
He's
no, no,
starting
no,
to segue into ads.
no. We're gonna do close to the time. We're gonna do a Super Bowl special, but we're gonna relate it to wrestling.
Are we?
Yep,
And by we, is it me and you?
me and you. Yeah,
Okay. Well, I mean,
yeah.
I guess. Okay. Hopefully, it's gonna be crazy to announce this to the one person still listening. Because if people got to the end of the last episode, they're definitely not going to get to the end of this one as well. Me and you we'll do the pod. Actual every week. Promise.
Well, we're gonna have an episode released on Friday the 10th, and then Friday the 17th. I would say that would be the men's and the women's rumbles, which are these ones that were recorded, and then we will genuinely do that Super Bowl one. The idea that I've got, and Kyle has not heard this. This is just being pitched to him right now.
Yeah, I thought you were literally taking the piss.
No, I'm being genuinely serious. You're going to build a team full of wrestlers that should play in those positions in the NFL. So like your quarterback is your quarterback's Roman Reigns, or like your wide receiver is Finn Balor. Do you know what I mean? Like something like that.
Yeah. I get you.
We're going to do
No,
that as a Super Bowl special.
Oh yeah. Every single week this year, we're not going to miss a single episode, baby.
I shouldn't be saying that, should he? Really?
It's at the start of the year. We could at least go a couple of months before we drop.
Yeah. Do you know what? Our end of year this is the last thing I say. I promise. Our end of year stats weren't that bad. We actually genuinely got quite decent listens, and from very random places in the world. So, thank you everyone for listening.
Damn, that's really wholesome. It's weird that you're doing like an end of year review essentially.
Yeah,
but
that is what I'm doing. Yeah.
I love you all, my TGP universe boys.
Yeah.
And girls, sorry.
Yeah. But anyway, that is all we've got time for. We're gonna shoot off now. I hope you've enjoyed both of our Royal Rumble specials. What are you laughing for? I'm serious.
You're like, we're gonna shoot off. Thanks, mate. I've had a lovely couple of parts for you, lad, but I got to shoot off now. Got to pick up my missus.
I've not said any of this.
It's just the way he says shoot off, man.
I can't pick up anyone. What do you mean? I'm not a good example. Anyway,
we're gonna end it. We're not gonna shoot off. We're still gonna be here, but we're ending the episode.
Okay. Kyle's got some editing to do.
Wait, do I?